Well, 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 well. I just got back. A little bit of an adventure. Nothing serious, but it's something interesting nonetheless, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. However, I'm going to go. Actually, some of the things that I experienced this morning sort of inspired me to talk about this. Now, before I get into the topic, my son, who's going to be 26, coming up in June, was in the Navy. He was discharged medically, but he did serve and he was able to get his GI Bill and he went to school and now he's in game design and he's working and he's trying to, do the things that he likes. And I asked him, about anchors because I wanted to know the proper terminology. But he was on the Theodore Roosevelt, which it's a large aircraft carrier, and he was stationed out in San Diego, and they did a tour of the Southeast Pacific, and they went all the way over to that area, and he had a bunch of interesting adventures, and saw a lot of different cultures, and I was really happy for him, and being able to do things like going to Japan, which is always he's been very interested in Japanese culture and the art and the anime and stuff like that. So, I was really happy that he was able to get that experience. Although emotionally, I was very conflicted about him being in the military. Um, and, there was some unwinding that needed to take place. But the interesting thing about it is that he was an ET. So I asked him, what was the terminology for, lifting the anchor and then dropping anchor, and I thought it would be, just drop anchor and then lift anchor, but that's not the terminology. It's a little different. Um, they say cast anchor is to cast anchor, and then weigh anchor is to pull it back in. I thought that was kind of interesting. And of course, a person can Google that. And I thought, I asked him, I knocked on his door. He's busy with his games and stuff like that. And I asked him, and he didn't know off the top of his head because he was not part of that crew. And I was thinking that maybe when they were on a ship, they would make like this loud announcement, like, oh, we're lifting anchor and we're getting ready, make sure everybody's on board or something like that, but apparently not. Or, but it's an interesting thing. But the more important thing to understand is that life is not to be still. We will be still when we are dead. And so it's very sad when we are forced into situations that really are not necessary and that only serve somebody else's needs. It doesn't serve our own needs. But the thing is that it seems like that what has happened is that emotions, because really, and if anybody if you listen to this and you like to read and you want to read some interesting books, personally when it comes to philosophy, I like the existential field. So I've read about Jean-Paul Sartre and Friedrich Nietzsche. um, I'm trying to pull names because I haven't touched on the subject in a while. But for Nietzsche, of course, he wrote "Thus Spake Zarathustra." There was a band that actually released an album, a music album, a rock psychedelic music album that was called that. I can't remember which band that was. And but I like Beyond Good and Evil because really good and evil are imaginary constructs, some and they're absolute imaginary constructs. So certain people have certain ideas about what good is and what bad is, and other people have other ideas about what good and bad is. But most of the times that when we have these feelings, they're self-serving feelings. They're to make us kind of feel good. I watch people and I look at faces. And one of the things that I've been noticing, because I've been going to the gas station frequently. And this gas station where it's located is very, very convenient because it's right off of the I-4, the highway, the interstate. And this is the interstate in Florida. And of course, Florida is not very wide. And the interstates that are the pair numbers run west east. So, you want to know the exit number for I-10 that runs from California, Los Angeles, all the way over to Jacksonville. You're the very first exit in California is exit number one. But then once it reaches the final exit in California, so let's say, it's 225 miles wide, then once it enters into the next state, it starts from one again and it counts on the miles. And, Florida is almost as big as Texas on that final stretch when you enter through, Pensacola and you go all the way across. That's the widest that Florida is at any juncture, But for the rest, typically you only have, let me think, it's about 80 miles on each side or something like that, if you kind of go to the center, somewhere around there. So it's not incredibly wide. Okay, I might be getting a little distracted. Okay, so I-4, let me think where I was going with this. Well, let me just get back on the subject and maybe it'll come back to me. But so sadly, what happens, if we imagine that our ships are a body, and we're sitting on water, and we actually are. In many respects, we are sitting in water. Oxygen is our water. It's our level. There are certain levels or layers in Earth, and there are certain creatures and organisms that live in the different layers, and they navigate those layers. And the healthiest thing that a person can do, of course, is, well, I personally think, the healthiest thing that a person can do is, to try to navigate as much of the ocean as possible, to just enjoy the scenery, because that's what it's all about. I saw a post on Instagram where somebody said something to that effect, where, that we're shoehorned into working. And, we are really just serving, richer people's needs. As a matter of fact, just going back to the gas station, is that, I look at people's faces. And one thing I can say about my face is that I smile more. And I can go back and I can share a number of pictures from the past. Now, did I smile when I was fat or obese? Yes, I did, but I almost never smiled for the camera. I was embarrassed or something. I just didn't feel good about myself, And so, and that's what I kind of see with the faces of the people, the faces that I see. There is sort of a despondency. In some cases, there's sort of an emptiness. Very few instances where I see sort of examples of, say, determination or anything like that. Now I remember. So I was, because it's close to the interstate, and it's also one of the major. The gas station is one of the major on one of the major roads in the town that I live in, on the north end. It's the last exit for Deltona, and so on that last exit, which is so almost like a throughway. It is a main thoroughfare, I should say. So it is a very it is a hub for people that are going off to work in the morning. And of course, one of the things that I notice is that most of the people, and I have said this before, do appear to be laborers. So it's basically all the people that work for the rich people. So some of them might be their own, but screens, lawns, landscaping, all kinds of construction and home services and pool services and electronic, most of that. And the other thing is that I see a lot of people that are overweight. And I was overweight too. And again, uh, and they're buying things that wouldn't be the best things to buy, unless of course you don't care, and that is a sad condition. In If we can get by, some people is, if I can get by, if I can work, as long as I can get shit done, it doesn't matter how big or fat or I am. That's all that counts. There is no internal motivation to change that scenario. In fact, it's accepted, and there's this complacency. And that's why one of the things that I wrote is, complacency is our biggest enemy. But so religion is really where we weigh anchor, using the term that no, cast anchor, excuse me, where we cast anchor, because it emotionally meets our needs. But is it important to have your emotional needs met? Or better yet, is having an artificial device or a symbol a healthy way to meet your emotional needs? I don't think so. I really don't think so. In fact, I would almost say I'm 99.999% that it's not. It's not good. It's not necessary. I don't know, you know, so right now, personally, and this is something I had a conversation with my son about, is that my body is my home. They say home is where the heart is. Well, my body is my home. Now, some people say my body is my temple. I don't go there. I don't need to go there. There's absolutely no reason. Quite frankly, if there is an omnipotent, omniscient, all-knowing entity, I think that the last thing it wants is to me fucking wasting time kissing its ass. Because that's what most people do when they go, with their religion. They are codependent emotionally. And we are sort of forced into that situation. I had a really interesting thought on my way back this morning. When I was a kid, my mother was always very, very keen on making sure that I studied. And I liked to read on my own. I was curious. I was a very curious kid. And I thought that books were a fantastic source of information that may have started from when I was very little. My parents bought me some subscriptions to some magazines where I could look through them and get stickers and point into the planets and geography and all that stuff. And I ate it up. And so I had this set of encyclopedias that my mother went through the effort of packing to take to Peru. And I was so happy to have those, because in the back of every tome, there was a series of sort of not Cliff Note versions, a little bit better than Cliff Note versions of sort of, very important or works of literature and stuff. And one of them that I really was always fascinated with, is Greek and Roman mythology. It's just, and the anthropomorphic essence of it. These are all the gods are human. And that got me thinking. I think they were real. I think all those gods, in certain respects, were actual real human beings that were powerful. And the reason they were powerful was because they were actualized. And so when you're actualized, you manifest different feelings. You're still a human, but it is possible that some of these actualized humans, some of them were maybe a little bit more jealous, or a little bit more vain, or a little bit more this. You see, it's taken me 64 fucking years to feel like I'm actualized. There's a quality control issue with the production of humans. Because in order to be an actualized human, closer to an actualized humans, you have to go through a series of experiences. But they're not letting us do that. There's no reason for kids to be in school. They are serving somebody else's purpose. They're being educated to be productive citizens. But there's only certain people that benefit from productive citizens. It's a big mess. That's the thing, is that people think it's very easy to explain this shit. It's not. It can't be. There's 8 fucking billion people, or 350 million people in the United States. That means that the psychological power dynamics and the social psychology and the movement and the economics, the motivations, it's a big fucking mess. And for anybody to have this pompous arrogance to just sit back and speculate, oh, this is the way things are. I'm sorry. You're wrong. Am I right about anything? I don't know. But I'm not going to defend, I don't feel the need to defend anything. And it's really, there is somebody who was looking for a fight this morning. He was a big boy too. He was around 350 pounds, I would put him at, maybe a little bit more over that. And, maybe about 6 feet. He looked at, he was wearing an American flag on his cap, and it was it wasn't a red MAGA cap or anything like that, but, he was carrying symbols. He was buying beer at 9 o'clock in the morning, a 24 pack and all kinds of garbage. But he felt the need to look at me and mouth something at me. And I was listening to music. I'm just standing there by the door. I'm drinking my coffee. Right now, I'm really into emo, punk emo. It's like I love punk emo. It's just, emotions are good. They're good to release. They're good to get out, but they're not good to concentrate on, to sort of have them pull you down. You want to let your boat float and move around. It's not an easy thing. Most people are controlled by their emotions, by their needs, like hunger, or thirst, but at this point in time, when you're obese, you shouldn't be hungry. You have shitload of fucking food in your system. There's a bunch of shit. Actually, all you need to do is, I would, if I were obese at this point in time, what I would recommend anybody who wants to change that, I would say one of the things that you want to focus on is, like, in the morning, and you juice an incredibly nutritious juice. And that should, that something that's going to sort of detoxify your system. If you cannot motivate yourself to fucking walk and do exercise and sweat, you're fucked. Especially if you're obese or morbidly obese. You're fucked. You will not be able to change that shit around simply with a fucking diet. Impossible. That's like, The Biggest Loser, those that program where they had all these people that are like, horribly obese, and then they turn into good shape. The thing that you notice, they fucking work out the entire day. They are fucking busting ass. And that's how it gets done. It's a combination of sweat. You have to be able to generate your own motivation. That is the fucking key. Nobody, no thing, no artificial device should motivate you. None. The only thing that should motivate you is yourself. I motivated myself. Now, it was accidental in many ways, and uh, you know, but there was a point that I did take charge, and where I purposely said, "I'm going out and I'm fucking walking." And every time I walked, I pushed, I pushed, I pushed, I pushed myself further. I tried to walk faster. I tried to sweat. Yeah. And it's kind of off subject because the title of this is, religion is an emotional anger. But if you notice, a lot of people that go to church are overweight, because, well, I mean, there's so many reasons, but here's the sad part about that, the real sad part. And I checked with somebody who kind of follows this, that it does look like we are now creating humans that are genetically predisposed to become obese. And being obese serves the masters really well because you can't do a lot of shit when you're obese. There's only few things that you can do. And the more obese you are, the more those things get limited. It's very sad that this country is just letting this shit happen. Because in a way, this is like it is the dog eat dog situation. If you're sick, this is not a society where, uh, you know, that a group of people want to lift you up just for the purpose of you lifting up. Typically, the only reason they want to lift you up is so you can serve them, not so you can serve yourself. That's what religion does. It's not healthy to be codependent. It's not healthy to be codependent on an institution, a country, a feeling, a partner, a child, anything. Codependency is not good. Cooperation is good, not codependency. And that is why religion sucks. They make you dependent to get your emotional fulfillment. But emotional fulfillment isn't entirely what life is about. I'm going to stop there for now. Oh, wait a minute. The gods. Did I make that point? The Greek gods? I think they actually did exist. Oh, so just taking that just one step further before I say goodbye. In that time period, the social structure and the thoughts and the philosophy of the time, they were stoic. So there was a lot of emphasis on the individual and the individual becoming strong. Somewhere along the line, that got perverted. And it turned into people serving other people to join larger groups to conquer other larger groups. Now I'm going to say, and more than anything, it's because I have to go to the bathroom. Whoa, just pee. So remember, the past is an illusion. The present is confusion. It's all fucking lies. No, this is just, it's a big fucking mess. And the future is your decision. What else could it be? Don't be a victim of the future. Control it. So remember that. Stay safe and have a good one. And there'll be more.